to my channel. Today I'm continuing my series taking a look at Letters from the Dark. This is a series of expansions for ShadowDark written by Chris Powell. I've already taken a look at books 1 to 4, so today I'm looking at the book which is How to Pay, which is all based around devils, the 9 circles of hell. There's a new class in the book. The adventure itself does seem to be very much this, or similar to this, which is Inferno, which is a 2-part book that I backed on Kickstarter a while back. It's actually one of my favourite 5th edition adventures, and in the adventure you start off already, well, the players already start off dead, and they have to go through the 9 circles of hell to escape. So the adventure very much, it's in that vein. It's slightly different, but you are still going through the 9 circles of hell. There, 1 to 4 knocked it out the park. Does this do it well enough to justify adding to your collection? Before I get into the review and the book itself, where can you pick it up? As ever, let's just start on Drive Through RPG. So here we have Letters from the Dark, Volume 5, How to Pay. You can, like the other books, you can pick it up in PDF or softback, which with PDF, and it's currently discounted here, so you can get the PDF and the softback for the same price as the softback book on its own. If you are going to buy this book, please do use my affiliate link. Those that are using my affiliate link, thank you very much for everyone that's used it so far. It just helped me to sort of buy more books, and so I had to pay for this, so I don't mean it like that. But obviously the money that I make off the affiliate link, I can then put into buying more books to then review and bring to you and show to you on the channel. This one it's the largest book so far, coming in at 106 pages. Most of them are sort of 60 to 80, so value for money. It's the same price, but it is a larger book. It does include all the maps and handouts. So this one's got handouts in addition to maps. There are 10 maps in this one, and I think 6 or 7 handouts. Okay, so what does the book cover? Hal Heist, which is an adventure involving devils, contracts, and a tavern with colourful NPCs. You've got a mega dungeon spanning all 9 circles of hell. You've got the Diabolist, which is a new class, which deal in making diabolic deals to take the souls of party members, or obviously you can play one yourself if you wanted to. Then you've got all the new laws and rules for hell itself, and this amazingly interesting contract system where the players can trade their soul in the future for special abilities and powers now in gaming. And before we get into the book, obviously, if you like this sort of thing, please do like, share, subscribe to the channel. I've got my own Discord, Patreon, and I'm on X, and I'm on Instagram as well. So we're getting there, slowly catching up with all of the social media parts. Okay, so let's just take a look at the book. So here we have the front cover of the book. Again, I said this about the previous 4 as well. You would not know this is a ShadowDark expansion book. There's nothing on there. It's the one thing I think Chris should probably change. But I do like the cover. It's also not in that black and white. You know, most of the ShadowDark books are just black and white. It's a black background, white pictures and writing. So it's got the white pictures and writing. It's just the background's the wrong colour. Doesn't say ShadowDark either. From handouts point of view, so I'll just take you through the handout 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, there are 6 handouts. Not going to show you any of the maps, but so these are basically puzzles and things that are going to come out during the adventure that it does say to sort of cut out of the book, and quite nicely they are all included here, including the contract that you will give out to your players, get them to sign it, as well as a benefit for them and a curse, which we'll come on to. And then the sort of handout for the Inferno themselves, which is their quest down into hell. So, right, let's get into the book. It's designed and written by Chris Powell, and an introduction by Dante himself. It's probably Chris, but all of these books have these sort of welcoming letter or note, which basically it's written from a sort of first person perspective, but it's someone like they're writing the book, if that makes sense, and they just have this foreword. Contents of the book. So lore and rule changes. So these are, it basically outlines HAL itself. It's all hyperlinked, which is always great. Details on the new devils. So it has got some new monsters in here. Player contracts, how that works. The Diabolist class itself. And then we get into HAL Heist, which is the rest of the book, which is this massive mega dungeon with different puzzles, way of dealing with things. It's got new rules and sort of fast time. I'll get into it when we get into there. And then back matter will then be teasing book 6. It will be, because this is book 5, isn't it? So only 3 to go after this one. Law and rules. Is there spoilers here for players? Hold on, let me just go and check. Yes, if you are a player and you want to play in this and you want your games master, you can't really watch any of this video, unfortunately. So thank you for being here. Thanks for sitting through the first advert. But yeah, you need to go. If you're a player and you want to buy this to run it as yourself, because it sounds interesting, stick around. If you're a games master, stick around. Say if you're a player, direct your games master to this. Okay, you've been warned if you're a player and you're still here. Right, so HAL itself has got, so it's based in 9 circles, but not all of them are fire and brimstone. It gives examples. So the 5th, for instance, contains a lush jungle. And not all sinners go to hell, only those that fell into the contract. So the contract rules on page 24, I'll just sort of get into that. So this is all the rules around the contract. So when you get the players to sign the contract, that means by the end of it, they will go into HAL, okay? Devils and archdevils. So each of the 9 realms has its own archdevil. So this is like a big boss. And all the stat blocks for all the archdevils is coming up, hence the reason why. Hence, it's straight into details of the archdevils, hence the reason why players need to leave. So here we've got the first circle of hell, which is called Limbo. Each of the 9 circles will have the details of the archdevil that is here, as well as the stats as we go through them. I'm not going to sort of break down entirely, and it will. Some of them will have a sort of key location that the players need to get to or interact with. It's detailed further on as we go into the book, but this is like a real, it's more, here's a teaser, this is your circle, and this is your main archdevil, and a little bit, their stats and what they look like, okay? And then you've got a description of each of the circles here. So at the outer boundaries of HAL lies Limbo, which is an endless maze of corridors and atria. It's the only circle which mortals can directly access from the material plane. So this is where everyone's going to start. As the players then go through into the adventure, they will go further and further down into finally getting to the 9th circle. Well, say finally, assuming they live that long, or unlive that long, because technically they're already dead. If unlive's a word already, is unlive a word? A word? It is now. The second circle, which is lust, so it's an endless black sky. Hurricane force winds batter sinful mortals who gave into carnal temptation. And then we've got, is it Pazuzu, which is the archdevil here, again with the stats and a little bit of the motivation and what the archdevil's going to do. Then circle 3 is gluttony, where the sun beats down and the endless fields of rotting carrion. And I think this is the place where they're just going to constantly get devoured, and then yeah, here we go. Repeatedly eaten, digested, and regenerated over and over for the whole of their existence in Circle 3. Circle 4 is greed. Greedy mortals push golden boulders up steep inclines in the mountain of the 4th circle. And then we've got Mammon, the archdevil. And is it Alpi? I think Alpi, which is the capital city, and then it's got an undercity as well. So all these are very different, and we'll see that when you get to the maps later on in the book. So Wrath here, which is a river of ravenous souls churning through the jungle, and this is the one with it's quite infamous, the River Styx. I think most people probably will have heard of it. And then we've got Lamashutu, which is the elephant-headed archdevil. I'd like to have seen drawings of each of the archdevils because they are quite important to the adventure. Some of them have drawings, some of them don't. There are drawings further on in the book. It's just me. I just like that in here. And then got heresy, which is the sixth circle. Can't say that. Well, I can. I just did. Which comprises of a subterranean industrial facility that develops evil technologies. 7 is violence. 3 armies ruthlessly battle in the desert. All 3 are led by the same general, which is the art devil Megara. We are then on to 8, which is fraud. So nothing as it seems in the 8th one. This is a small hill dotted with 100 mausoleums that actually is the nexus of 100 interplanar portals, which is, I think it's this one, yeah. Which seems absolutely batshit when the players get to it, and we will see this. So you're gonna have to write all this down where they sort of portal in and move into, and then finally the 9th circle is treachery, which is the bottom of the 9 circles of how Archdevil Malpus bides his time in the frozen lake. And the main thing they're looking for in the adventure is the respiratory of Cana, which is where the all the contracts are held and stored. So it's basically like his little cupboard. It's bigger than a cupboard, but that's what the players will be looking for in the adventure. Okay, so we've got now the rules on devils. It talks about, make the devils really interesting. So unlike demons, devils are born out of pure entropic energy. Devils have a biological similar to mortals. They produce either sexually or asexually. They mature and grow and can be killed by a blade or by magic. They do have their own societies, and they've got their own hierarchy system. They don't tend to leave hell, but they can go out. The reason they don't like to go onto the material plane is because of human hunters and witch hunters and things like that, because obviously they can be killed, but they will go out for trying to get new contracts. If you want to create a random devil, the sort of table is here to details with its appearances and creating a devilic name. I'm making up words as I go along. There are, I think, is it 4 pages? Yeah, 4 pages of actual devil types. So this is your sort of monster manual in here, including this really weird boer or bower, maybe. A lion head with 5 hoof legs, which just looks silly. It's silly. It's because it's 5. If it was 6, or I think if it was an even number, I'd be fine with it. But it's just weird. Okay, so yeah, so these are some pre-generated ones that are in that will appear in the adventures. Okay.
I'd sell my soul to be famous.
Now the rules on contract. This is utterly amazing, and I like the fact that, and I would encourage as a games master to play this out properly by using where are we, the Diabolist class. I don't think you're going to get many players wanting to play these Diabolists, which I'll kind of show when we get to. You might, but I think as a sort of more important NPCs. So it's going to start with a negotiation where the player is going to negotiate wanting something, some sort of power, and then they'll be backwards and forwards with the Diabolist, and then eventually they'll pull up the devil. You'll then sit down, finally finish the negotiation. They will then sign the contracts. There will be some caveats in there that the players may or may not be aware of. So they've got to be quite careful how they deal with it. Each player that signs the contract will have some sort of benefit, which is randomly rolled, as well as a curse that is also randomly rolled. Could allow the players to pick it, I suppose. But I'm just a big fan of randomly rolling. And then if they want to renegotiate, you can renegotiate and rewrite it. Or if you want to break the contract, you're going to have to go and get your contract back. Okay. So here we have the contract. So this is here. So it is done as nicely done as a handout. Let me just put that onto a 2-page. Is that going to go 2 pages? No. Okay. Hold on. If I do that, there we go. So here we have the contract. So you print it off. It does encourage you to get the devil and the player to fill in their names there and actually get them to sign it and pledge, randomly roll how many years they're going to give their soul for. And then you've got these boons here, so you can roll. And so let's say you get far reaching, your attack, spells, and abilities with a range of close instants have a range of near. So you're going to obviously be able to sort of do melee attacks a further distance away. And then you're going to end up with a random curse here. So Let's go with obvious. So you have a 3 in 6 chance that you begin combat surprised. So you're always going to go a little bit, well, not always, but 50-50 chance that you're going to go a little bit slower. Okay. Diabolist class themselves. The reason why I'm not sure you're going to get many players, they only have 2 abilities. But I suppose it depends on really the group that you've got. So these specialize in diabolic lore and culture. They're going to get a club, dagger, short bow and staff, and some leather armor. D6 hit points, so it's not too bad on hit points. They know diabolic and 2 other languages. They have to be chaotic. Objection is a nice ability. However, you're only going to get it once per day. Force an enemy to re-roll and use that new re-roll. And then you get this ability here, which I think's litigious. I'm not sure. Litigious. One of those. When you first sign a diabolic contract, you choose one additional benefits. You can have 2 benefits and only 1 curse. You will also have advantage on any checks associated with law, pleading innocence, negotiating deals, and deceiving devils. Again, you get titles and the talents there. Okay, that is all of the rules. The rest of the book is the adventure. So we're on page 31. So that's 70 odd pages of adventure that's going to come up. From the story point of view, the players begin with one thing in common. They made a deal with the devil, and soon after signing their contract, they have buyer's remorse. And the players then, the whole idea of the adventure is to start at the top of the first circle. Well, you start in an inn that then takes you to the circle, and then you're going to go all the way down to the bottom to get your contract back. Simple. It's that easy. So the first session, to say you should begin with character creation and get them to roll and create their contracts on the Patreons there. Players should roll their ancestry, stats, alignment, and starting talents. While most mortals are lawful, those that make deals with the devils are more likely to actually end up being chaotic or neutral. So you're going to roll a d6 to determine your alignment here. You can randomly create a Patreon. I would create specific Patreons for the players. You say you've got the rules to sort of do it, but yeah, do it. It's going to be quite important because the patrons are going to sort of appear throughout the adventure. And then obviously you've got your contracts here, which you're going to get to. I suppose if you're doing this over a VTT, it might be slightly more difficult to do with the whole signing aspect of it. But I still think the session 0 is going to be really, really good for this adventure. Okay, we've then got the details of Inferno. So this page here is included in one of the handouts, and this is where is it? I think it's the last one there. So this is so the players know exactly within reason where they need to go. So they are trying to head down here. Okay, that's all they need to do is get through all 6. Okay. Now, as a player, you're gone, so there are going to be spoilers here if you're going to run this as a games master. But I'm not going to make it too spoily because I like people to discover their own things. As they head down into the Inferno, this will just detail and hyperlink the mega dungeon, which makes it nice and quick to go through, and all the pages. Okay, unique gameplay style. So each of the levels has a unique gameplay style to it. So, for example, the first level is an escape room. The second is 3D dungeon, and then this is what's saying about the random rooms of 8, which is linked to this portals here. Okay, so everything's going to feel incredibly different, which is either going to drive your players mad or they're going to really enjoy it. I personally think they're going to enjoy it because it's not going to be tedious at all because everything is completely unique. We've then got the portal connections. So it will show you which rooms in the adventure and the circle they're in will take them to which of the rooms. Okay, so once you get down from 6, so that the certain bits will take you to different levels. Okay, so from 1 to 2 there's only one way, but the key thing is once you're on circle 5, which is Wrath, there is only there's 2 ways down into Wrath, but to get to 7, I should have said, there's 1. Okay, so there's only 1 room will actually get them down. And then all roads lead to hell, technically, once they are on 8. So everything, there's several routes to actually get them down to treachery. Storytelling. Okay, so the heist runs differently than other things because it's a very brutal place. The players aren't really going to die. When they do die, there are 2 options. They can either roll a random new character from the start, reincarnation, or they can take on additional diabolic curse and come back exactly the same way through resurrection. Okay, carousing rules. They're going to need to carouse and rest. There are coins and its own currency in here, and when they do sort of go in the carousing, there is Dante's Inn here. And when they do start to carouse, they're going to pretty much do it here from Dante's Inn, which is the sort of unique starting location. Okay, I'll just scroll back. So backtracking, as the players travel back, because as they go further in, there'll be points where they're going to want to go back to level up, etc. for carousing. It basically says here, don't play going backwards in, because it will just take too long. What you can do is it's got this random fast travel encounters that you can just throw in occasionally. So how it works is depending on how many rooms circles they go back on. So let's say they're in 5 and they go back to 1. You're going to roll a d6, and if you roll a 5, only a 5, so because they've gone back through 4, they're going back through 4 rooms, so that you need to sort of through 4 circles. So if they roll a 4, you will do the random encounter. So if they roll anything else, then they don't. So if they're only going back through 1 level, there is nothing to roll. Okay, so if they're on level 2 and they go back to level 1, there's nothing. If they go back from 3 to 1, you roll a d6, and they've gone through 1 extra. So if you roll a 1, there's going to be the random encounter. So it's not going to come up that often. However, once they get to circle 7, you can't do the fast track rules. Okay, so you can't do these backtracking rules, sorry. Okay, so Dante's Inn is the starting location. This is someplace on the material plane, so it's somewhere on Earth, wherever you're deciding to set the plan, set the adventure. And this is a inn that the players will discover or find either by accident, or you can just start them there because they're already dead, which is their starting journey. And then you've got a list of NPCs in here. So this is the place where they're going to buy and sell items to help them and do all their carousing rules to level up. Okay, the rest of the book then is into the all the locations and the mega dungeon crawl. So each of the 9 circles, say, is completely different, and it's going to be laid out like this. So it's going to have some sort of puzzle. All of these maps are included, and they are blank for the players, and it will detail the circle itself, the key locations, where the portal is. Well, we know where the portal is because the portals are listed on here. So if we go to 1.2, so here we have 1.2 here. So this is your portal, and there. However, they then need to go and get all of these keys in the escape room style to get through the door. Okay, so that's your first trial, and each level of Circle of Hell has got its own archdevil, which is then detailed more in here and what they're kind of doing and their motivation. And so you'll just go through the book with, like, again, 3D puzzle here, which, again, the map will be there, which the players will need to solve. This is a bit more of a linear journey, but as you can see, its stage of ingestion is in here as well. So it kind of very much feels like you are going down inside the digestive tract, which technically are, if that makes sense, but it's a little bit more abstract than that, but it's still gross. And then you're into the industrial city as well. It's floating down the River Styx. Palace. This is a bit more of a standard dungeon crawl, this one, so what you'd expect on 2.6. We've then got 7, which is your hex crawl. So it just brings on all the rules that you'd imagine from a ShadowDark one. 8 is the chaotic one that is going to drive the players bonkers, I think, because this is 100 random portals, and they are looking for specific portals like this one. So they're going to hope that that's going to come up when they roll to get them through, and they're just going to be going through each of the mausoleums to finally get them through. Hence the reason why, just scrolling back to, where is it? There's several of them. You know what, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are 5 different portals that are going to take you through. So it's still only 5% chance of it coming up. It's going to come up at some stage, okay? But it's going to feel very. It reads to me like quite claustrophobic, because you're just going from one room to the next, encounter to encounter, no real way of getting out until you actually find where you need to go to actually get down. And then the final one is just, so you've got a puzzle. And this puzzle's quite cool because there are, so again, you've got this piece of paper here, which is done as a handout. Where is it? Here. Okay. So you're dividing this into, is it 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And as the players go through and do certain things, you will give them different parts of the piece of paper. And the whole thing will then solve the puzzle on what they need to do to get to the repository. That's it. It's as simple as that. And then once they're in here, it's just a way, it's easy, and they are home safe to get to into the middle and just solve getting the contracts back. That's it. That is the whole of that adventure. Okay. It's mental. It really is, in a good way. And then we've got the teaser for volume 6 here, Scallywags. Which, as you can imagine, it's going to be very sort of piratey in its setting. So we've got Plunderdome here. So delve into 3 dungeons in an island sandbox. Race against the clock to beat rival treasure hunters. Set sail, so new rules for ships and naval combat. New ancestries to taste your sea legs against merfolk and shark folk. Got some new classes as well. So the swashbuckler, or the dead-eye sharpshooter. New monsters, and then finally the NPC gallery. So book 6 seems to be going back to the more traditional sort of feel of these books from especially the first 3. They were very much monsters, new class, adventure, changes of rules. So we're back to tradition, should we call it? Okay, so book 5. What do I think of How to Pay? I think this is the one that I like it, because I do like the idea of players being trapped and having to go and get their souls back and stuff. But I think this is probably going to be the one that, unless you've got a specific group that is interested in that, you probably don't need it for the adventure. Now, do you find it interesting to give the players some wonderful power and a little bit of a curse to, trade with their soul? You could tempt players in that, but I'm not sure that alone is enough to justify buying this book. I really like it. So, but I think you're going to need a specific group of people to want to attach this one to. Okay, so I don't think this is an instant buy for everyone. I'm glad I've got it, because I've tested Inferno with one of my groups and they loved the idea of it. What they didn't want is a massive epic 5th edition, I think that takes you through to 20th level, which, as you can imagine, is probably 2 years of your life in 5th edition. This, I think, will be relatively quick. I think you'd probably do this. Each of the sort of dungeons and the way they are, I reckon there's a couple of them you'd do in sessions, and the rest might take 2 or 3 sessions. I think in all, you could probably do this in about 20 sessions. So it's going to be realistically less than 6 months if you meet once a week, which is a damn sight more palatable to sell to someone than this. I say, I've got players interested. I don't know if I've got a year odd of my life to throw it in either. But it's for ShadowDark as well, so combats, everything's going to be considerably quicker. So do I recommend it? Yes, with a caveat is what I'm going to go with this one. So this is the one that I think I'd say that as a games master you could probably not necessarily get. I'm going to use it, and I'm going to be tempting players to do things because I've got players that are used to playing things like Warhammer, where if something goes wrong, you can tempt them with a corruption point and give them that element of becoming a little bit more evil to gain some sort of power back. And I think this will work really well with the right group of people. And what I do like is the fact they put the curse in, because one of the biggest issues of selling your soul, and when you die, you're going to live hundreds of years in one of the circles of hell. Players don't care. They generally don't care. They're like, okay, that's fine. I'll just take the special ability now. Because I don't intend to play the character when they're dead. But this one, it's got that curse in, so they're going to have something negative coming back. But more importantly, the adventure it's not once in a lifetime is probably the wrong thing to say, but I generally think that with the right group, you could enforce this on people by just going, right, we're going to start an adventure, and then give them, here we go, here's the contract, etc., and then just go, by the way. Or if you ever get a total party wipeout, move them to this book and go, do you know what, you can get your character back. Do you want your character back? Do you all want your character back? Yeah, okay, well, I've got the perfect book for you. We're going to have to go and fight to get your soul back, and then you just do the contract and everything else. Now, that sounds amazing to me. Now, if a games master put that on me, I'd be like, I'm up for this. But I say it's going to be a specific group, because some people, on the odd times you get a total party wipe, they might not ever speak to you as a games master again because they'll think it's your fault. Where sometimes dice happens, or you do actually accidentally put an encounter that's too difficult, or sometimes, as happened to me the last time I had a party wipe, the players refused to run away. They genuinely were losing and still wouldn't leave, and you're like, you've just got to go. And I then gave them, those that came back from the dead that didn't have new characters, demonic powers. So this works perfectly in that sort of situation. So I'm glad I've got it. But let me know in the comments below whether this is the one for you, or whether you think it's a pass, because I say you're going to need the players for this one. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe to the channel. Book 6 will be coming up at some stage, as well as obviously other reviews. If you're still here, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.